In this video, we are going to go over the solvation of ionic compounds. So the hydration of an ionic compound occurs when ionic bonds between cations and anions are broken and replaced by ion dipole interactions with water. An ion dipole interaction is the attraction between an ion and the opposite partial charge on several water molecules. Ionic compounds that dissolve in water do so because ion dipole interactions are lower in potential energy than the ionic bonds of the crystalline solid in water, and the natural tendency of everything is to go to its lowest potential energy state. So this is a picture of the solvation of ionic compounds. You can see here that the sodium cation forms ion dipole interactions with the partial negative dipole on the oxygen of several water molecules, and the chloride anion forms ion dipole interactions with the partial positive dipoles on the hydrogens of the water molecules, of several water molecules. So that breaks up these ionic bonds between sodium and chloride. The sodium is solvated by the ion dipole interactions between the partial negative dipoles on the oxygens of the waters, and the chloride anions are solvated around water molecules with ion dipole interactions between the partial positive charges on the hydrogens of the water molecules. So writing chemical equations for hydration is indicated by including the AQ for aqueous, because aqueous means dissolved in water. So when you write the chemical equation for the hydration of sodium chloride, we have solid sodium chloride plus liquid water breaks up into its ions, and each ion is in its aqueous state. So sodium plus aqueous plus Cl minus aqueous. Calcium chloride, when dissolved in water, is calcium chloride solid plus water liquid plus calcium 2 plus 2 chloride anions. When the formula unit of an ionic compound contains subscripts, like CaCl2, this indicates the number of that particular ion released into solution, and therefore must appear as the coefficient on the right-hand side of the equation. So that's why we have 2 Cl minuses. So for practice, write the chemical equation for the hydration of sodium phosphate. So go ahead and pause the video, and then when you're done, come back and check your answer. So sodium phosphate is sodium is a positive, phosphate is PO4 3 minus. We need 3 positive charges to cancel out the 3 negative charges. So sodium phosphate is Na3PO4 solid plus H2O liquid. We're going to break it into its ions. We have 3 sodium plus, so sodium cations plus our phosphate anion, both in their aqueous phases. So when an ionic compound dissolves in water, ionic bonds are broken and ion dipole interactions are formed between each of the separated ions and the opposite partial charges on several water molecules. When writing the chemical equations for the hydration of an ionic compound, AQ denotes hydration, and the ionic compound is broken up into its ions on the right side of the equation.